Building habits is one thing, but maintaining those habits, that's quite another story. And that's what we're talking about in this episode. You know, when we build those habits are amazing because we're putting in the time that's necessary to build the neuroplasticity, connect those neurons. But how do we avoid slipping? How do we avoid stopping? How do we avoid giving up when trials come and even sometimes when life happens and it just derails us for a moment? That's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. Hey, I'm still in France, still here and enjoying this beautiful city. I'm glad that you've joined me for another episode of my 100-day walk to consistency. This is day number 80. I'll see you on the walk. So when we set up these routines, right, we set these habits, we've built them, and we've overcome that initial inertia, right? Because remember, that's inertia, that's the big thing. So we've had the motivation, and we've hit the ground running, and we've been consistent, and we may be doing 80 days, right? Which is what we are right now. And you've done that. And so now you're into just kind of the humdrum of the activities. It's the stuff that happens every day, and it's cold and you got to get up, and you don't feel good and you've got to get up, and your voice is gone and you get up, and it snows and you get up, and you're in a different country and you get up, right? So there's that thing that in our brain that says, okay, yeah, well, we've done a good job. We've done a good job. We could take a moment here. Now I'll tell you, this happens not just in these habits and times of walking, but it happens also in lots of different areas. For example, you've achieved your weight goal. You've gotten there, and you've done all the stuff that they told you to do. You've done all the stuff that you're supposed to do. You've done all the stuff that you know to do, and it's routine now. And one, you said, okay, I've done a good job, so let me go ahead. I can take a break now. Yeah, and you do take a break, but what happens is that break takes on a life of its own because there was not a plan for how do we take a break and how do we get back. Now, when we say take a break, we're talking about some time to celebrate. And I think that's the key to that whole idea. When most people say taking a break, what they mean is I'm gonna stop doing what I was doing. No. When I say take a break, what we're doing is we're taking time to celebrate. We're taking time to encourage ourselves. We're taking time to say, man, look at what I've done. This is just amazing. All right? So that's what we mean when we say take a break. So that's number one. The next thing that happens is that the excitement wears off. Yeah? So you had that motivation and things were great and you were like, man, let's do this. We're hitting the ground running. We're going. And the excitement is not there anymore because that conference that you went to, that first day when you showed up, that first pound that you saw, now it looks like work. And so that excitement that you had is not as big, it's not as strong, it's not as supportive. And a lot of times during that time, people will lose their direction, they will lose their energy, and they will lose their focus. So those are some reasons why that initial time begins to wane, that initial motivation, if you will, and I'm using the word motivation, begins to wane because the excitement is no longer there. And we feel like, man, if I got to do this, we'll come to that. So without a long-term strategy, even when you have achieved that, man, look at this. I'm going to turn around. Wow, isn't that gorgeous? Look at that building. And so the Louvre is right. If we go that way, all right, we'll get to the Louvre. Okay. Right. So without a long-term strategy, even the best habits can wane. Remember we said rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. So even though if you have drive, even if you have motivation, even if you have smart goals, even if you have vision, If you don't have structure, then what you are planning is in jeopardy. And so our goal is to make sure that we are not setting ourselves up for failure, that we are doing everything that we need to be successful. Once again, we're going to tilt down this way so that we're not in everybody's way. So success isn't just about starting habits, it's about sustaining them. Which is why I say to folks that I'm not interested in you hitting the ground and doing drastic changes. What I want is I want you to do things that are sustainable. As we're talking about limitless living, we're not talking about doing this for a day or a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months. We're talking about this as a lifestyle change. And if that's going to be the case, then we have to do things that are sustainable. And that's where structure comes in. Without structure, everything is in jeopardy. And you want to make sure that as you are moving, right, that you're remembering rhythm, alignment, and structure. What's the tenure of your life? Does it fit what you say that you want to do and who you say that you are going to be? And do you have something in place that's going to keep you going? That's going to keep you going, that's automatic, that automates the process for you so it does not rely on your motivation, because your motivation is going to wax and wane. Motivation is fleeting, but structure is king. Oh, do I have to write that one down? Motivation is fleeting, but structure is king. Wow. Okay. So here are 5 keys to maintaining your habits over the long term. You ready? Here we go. So 5 keys. So number 1 key is know your why and keep it front and center. Know your why, keep it front and center. Now, in that rhythm, alignment, and structure that we talk about, the alignment part has everything to do with the structure, with this idea of the things I'm doing that are lining up with who I say I am and what I'm creating for myself. Remember that. So that alignment. So if my why is true, if I've created a good why, if I have parsed that thing and looked at it and looked around it and created it and written it and underlined it and circled it, all that stuff, if that's real, then guess what? I want that right in front of me, because it's the thing that's going to help me to be successful. There is a what building was that? And now I'm forgetting, but the guy who gave us a tour yesterday said that there was a building here which was the first GPS, is what he called it. And I said, why? He said, well, before GPSs here in Paris, people, and that structure was kind of like in the center, and people from north knew where south was because they just head to it. People from the south knew where north was because they head to it. People from the east knew where west was because they head to it. And people from the west knew where east was because they head to it. So it was the thing that was there that got you to where you needed to be. And so when you have a why that is front and center, wherever you are, the decisions you're making, the tasks that you're taking on, the energy that you're expending, the choices that you make, if your why is front and center, it becomes your GPS. Oh, there's another one. It becomes the North Star. It becomes the place that you head with all of the things that you do in your life. If not, then you're always expending energy, and sometimes that energy doesn't take you in the direction you need to go. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure that the why is front and center. Your habits exist for a reason. Your habits exist to create for you the success that you say that you want. They exist because they are creating for you the person that you said you want to be. They exist because they are the functional part of your plan. The habits. That's why they exist. They don't just exist to exist. Because if there's a habit that doesn't take me in that direction, I need to get rid of that habit. I need to tweak my habits. All right, let me come over here. Let me turn around. And so we are right now up against this building. Let's see. Look at that. Look at the architecture, right? So I love that. Okay, so number one, you want to keep your why front and center. Front and center. Make your habit a non-negotiable part of your day, a non-negotiable part of your life. It's getting a little cooler. So we make time for the things that we want. True. But we also make time for the things that we don't want to do when there's nothing else in the place where we need to be. So you want to make sure that you are making your goal non-negotiable. Put it in your calendar, put it, and make sure that you understand and the people around you understand that this is something that's going to happen. I mentioned that for 10 to 12 years, I had a bunch of friends and we would meet every Wednesday, or we would talk every Wednesday. And it was on the calendar. Everyone knew that that's what we did. So there was no planning of anything during that time. There were times when we had to reschedule for different reasons. But without those, that was it. That's what we did. There was no compromising it. There was no excusing it. You just had to do that at that time. And so if you're not putting it on your calendar, if you're not adding it, there are so many other things that will come up. Now here's the interesting thing, that there are things that are going to come that are not bad things. They're not wrong things. There's nothing wrong with them other than they are not the thing that you said that you're going to do. So if my behavior is aligned, if I have a rhythm, if I've created that structure, if my why is center, and the things that I said I'm going to do are heading me in that direction, and I've made it non-negotiable, then there are other things that have come up, other opportunities, by the way, that are good, but they're not what I said I was going to do. And so either I have got to change my behavior, I've got to change the structure, I've got to change the plans, or this is what I'm doing. It's non-negotiable. I'm not putting anything else in that space. If I say I'm getting up in the morning, then I'm not going to go walk. Right? Getting up is a whole nother story. If I say I'm getting up to go walk and I'm up, then I'm not scheduling something else in my walking time. Does that make sense to you? Okay. I want to make sure that you understand that. And then you want to set up a maintenance plan. Set up a maintenance plan. What does that mean? That means that each day you are going to, each day or each month or each week, I won't give you a schedule right now, you're going to be looking at that plan to make sure that it's still consistent with your why, that it's still consistent with what you say that you want, and you don't need to tweak. Maybe you're going in a different direction, but you may need to make a pivot, make a twist, make a change. That's okay, as long as you have made that and that's part of your plan. Don't just let it happen. We're no longer just allowing life to happen to us. We are taking charge for ourselves, and we're doing the things we need to do to be successful. That's what Limitless Living says. That there are going to be some things that are uncomfortable. There are going to be some choices we have to make that don't allow us to have maybe that momentary fix or that momentary thing that we say we want, but that's okay, because this is what we've decided we're going to do. Now there are lots of folks over here, so we're going to head over to this section over here and then walk out. All right. So we're in the Louvre, by the way. That's why there's so many people here. We actually walked from our hotel down this way. So I'm going to let's see. Some beautiful. It's okay. You can get a little sense of where we are back there. lots of good sites. All right, so make your habit non-negotiable. Number three, set up the maintenance plan, right? So you want to make sure that you're tracking, right? As you're setting up this maintenance plan, it's not just about, okay, let me do this and let me just think about it. You want to make sure that you have a way of tracking it. Journaling. Let's head out this way. You guys heard as I moved closer over there, lots of voices. There we go. That's a little bit better, but also a lot more windy. Yeah. We'll head this way. All right. I think that's better. So set up the maintenance plans. You want to track it. You want to make sure that you're journaling. Use your journal, use your app, use your calendar, whatever it is, as you've decided what's the best way for you to journal. And you should have done that already. We're 80 days in, right? So make sure that you're doing that. You want to check in weekly. I said I wasn't going to give you a time earlier, but here it is. So weekly, you want to look at it because it's very important that you are evaluating that on a continual basis. Otherwise, you can drift. It's kind of like driving a car. If I'm heading to a particular location and if I'm not paying attention, then guess what happens? Then I can drift. And when we're drifting, that causes a whole lot of challenges for us. So make sure that you're doing that. Tracking it, checking in weekly, and make sure that you have accountability. Did I say accountability? Is that important? Oh yeah, accountability is huge, very important in what we want to do. And then you want to expect and plan that something is going to what? Something is going to go off track. Something is not going to be the way you thought it was going to be. Something was not going to end up with the correct resources, with the correct whatever it is. You may have to pivot and change. And that is this idea of remaining flexible. Because if you can remain flexible, then you set yourself up for tremendous success. Because it will happen. So we want to make sure that we build it into the plan and build it into our practice. Does that make sense? Yes. So expect it. So what is going to be the plan? When things don't quite go the way you thought they were going to go, what's going to be your plan? What is your goal there? What is your contingency? So remember, we're not scrapping the plan just because something went wrong or went off. What we're doing is we're pivoting and we are remaining flexible. And so here we're coming up to a busy road, so you hear those cars again. So we're going to walk around across the street. Beautiful. Bicycles. So note to self, bicycles are a thing. Okay, both in London and here in Paris, bicycles are a thing. All right. Try to go across the street. Break right here, so here we go. And then we're gonna hang a right down this street, see if we can avoid some of the traffic. Because that way is, remember yesterday, we were walking by this little cafe. So I'm gonna head down this way. Okay. I think this will work. For a little while. Okay. All right, so let's see. Expect and plan for setbacks and then keep evolving. One of the surefire ways of being successful is that you continue to grow, that you continue to work, that you continue to plan, that you're continuing to change, and you're continuing to be flexible. If you can do that, then there's nothing that gets thrown at you that you then have to say, man, I'm stopping. And I'm walking by some stores here because you are able to take whatever comes. Because that's just who you've created. That's the version of yourself that you've created. And you're able to do that. Let's see if I can maybe show you a little bit more of the neighborhood I'm walking through right now. And there's a big church. I think people waiting for mass. Right across. I don't know if you can see that. So, all right, so we're gonna keep going down here because I've got to head back to the hotel and get the family. So keep evolving. If your routine becomes too repetitive, it can cause some difficulties for you. We like excitement, we like challenges, even though sometimes they may force us to rethink. But when something becomes humdrum, which is what I started saying earlier, when that motivation wanes and it's not exciting, then we can get into a difficult position. That's why structure is important. That's why rhythm is important. That's why you having a scheduled way of evaluating and monitoring is very important, because it helps you to tweak if you need to. So keep evolving. So what are some best practices there? So you want to challenge your environment. So new routines for walking a different way. So that's why as we've been walking, you'll see me in different locations, because I like walking, but sometimes if I go to the same place in my neighborhood the same day, and that's why I'm here, because I wanted you guys to see what it's like here in a different city as I'm walking, and the fact that you can walk in different places. So make sure that you are changing different workouts. When you are doing your sets, right? Don't do the same thing all the time. Break it up. Use different ways of lifting. Work on your legs, work on your arms. Maybe today is an ab day. Don't let it be the same every single day, because then it becomes routine and mundane, and then you don't have the success that you want. And then learn something new related to what you are going for. So sometimes we get so pigeonholed into one aspect of the success that we're looking for, that we don't learn about anything else. One of the big challenges for medical students is that we are so tied into the mainstream specialties in medicine that there are so many other specialties and subspecialties that people never get involved with because they're not aware. And the people who become aware of them, they love them, and they're like, well, why didn't somebody tell me about this before? And so the same thing in any area of your life. If you're learning, if you're growing, if you're trying to go for something, then learn about the associated things around it. You may find that there's something else that you like even better, or something else that you want even better. So as we're talking about exercising, for example, and I'm gonna turn this way so you can see some of these stores as I'm walking by, right? I'm getting ready to go by the Gucci store. Let's do this so we don't get them. Oops. Well, they were in the shot, but that's okay. All right, so these are some of the stores. But you get the idea. Learn. Always be in a mindset of learning, because that sets you up for the best possibility of success. Learn something new. We're talking about weight loss. Yeah, so if you're losing weight and you're walking, you may find that if you start lifting, if you start doing some strength training, that you like that even better. And you become, I don't know, maybe you become a competitive bodybuilder. Who knows? But you don't know that unless you are continuing to evaluate, unless you're continuing to learn. So how do we go about preventing ourselves from backsliding into old habits? So how do we go about doing that? Number one, we want to watch for early signs. If we're not paying attention, then we can lose focus, we can lose direction, and our energy can wane. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to yourself, make sure that you're paying attention to how you are interacting. And we're waiting for the street to clear up a little bit. Let's see, let's go right here. And a bunch of people around me, so we're going to try not to get them in our view. All right, so you want to pay attention. You want to be aware of your surroundings. You want to be aware of how you're interacting, how your habits. Have there been times when, hey, you wake up and, today I'm not going to go. And then, oh, man, it's too cold. And, this is not working quite well. Oh, and this is taking too long, right? So you notice what's happening, right? The words are continuing to build up. And pretty soon, hey, wait a minute. And if you're not careful, you won't realize what just happened, okay? So make sure that you are paying attention. Then you want to use a 2-day rule. If you miss one day, it's okay, but don't miss 2 days. So I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna go, and oh man, it was cold outside, I didn't go today, but I'm not gonna let 2 days happen. I'm not gonna not do what I need to do for 2 days. Make sure that you are maintaining consistency. So that's one strategy to use. Skipping once is life. Skipping twice and letting it become a pattern, skipping twice and letting it become over and over, that becomes now a pattern. And we do not want to develop a pattern of not doing what we say we're going to do. And then you want to find an accountability system that works. Simply having an accountability system is not enough. You got to have one that works. It has to be able to help you where you need to be. So get a coach, join a group, create a group if there's not one where you are. This group that we are in is an amazing group because they support each other. So join a group. And then you want to reflect on your progress and adjust as you need to. Always, 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 did I say always? Always be flexible, always be ready to adjust. And I am back close to my hotel. I think this is where we were in our episode yesterday. Yep, because that was right in the background, I think. So beautiful, beautiful area as I head back to get the family here in just a little while. So yeah, reflect. So check in with yourself regularly. Are your habits still serving you? Do they need to be adjusted? Do they need to be refreshed? Once a week, looking at that. Make sure that you're doing what you need to do to be successful. And great. Did I say this is a great conversation? One of my favorite, I know. You think I say that for everything. And I do, because the keystone principles are just that. They are keystone. They are that important. Okay, and so here's our challenge. We can't leave ever without a challenge. And here's the challenge. You ready? You ready? Grab your journal. And so what we're doing is we're building our habit maintenance plan. Our habit maintenance plan. Number one, identify one habit that you want to maintain long term. One habit. Walking once a day. Exercising once a day. Moving for 30 minutes. I'm going to do my morning routine. I'm going to do devotion. I'm going to do a mantra. I'm going to do something. So what is one thing, one habit that you're going to do that you want to maintain long term? And what's one key habit that has changed your life over the past 80 days? So we've been doing this now 80 days. So what's one thing that you've done that you say, oh man, that thing right there that I did, I didn't know that this was going to be like this, but I did that. And so 80 days, this has really changed what I'm doing. Right? I'm going to tell you, for me, it is my organization. My organization has had to switch, has had to change. Because like I said, I'm going back to get the family. I was at the room waiting, and I said, okay, let's go. Of course, my wife just called and said, hey, where are you? Right? So organization, I've had to do that. And I had to plan. Okay, we're going away. How do I maintain what I've been doing while I'm away? Because it's easy to say, you know what, we're on vacation, I'm not going to do this. But this has been amazing because as I've walked around in both cities, I've seen places that I probably wouldn't have gone and seen had I just done, the touristy things. But this was great. So write down a plan to keep that thing going. What's the one thing that you want to do? What's the one thing that's changed your life or changed what you do or how you see yourself? And then how do I keep that going? Write down a plan to keep that going. That's going to be part of our maintenance plan. And then create a bounce back from setback routine. A bounce back from setback. I like that. See? Another one. Bounce back from setback. Bounce back from setback. What's my routine? What am I going to do? So organization. It's going to be easy. It could be easy for me to just fall back into pattern and just letting things happen. But we're no longer allowing life to just happen to us. Limitless living says that we are taking charge. We are doing what we need to do to create the space that we want to be in that takes us to our why. Does that make sense? Man. What an exciting time. What an exciting conversation. We are 80 days in. I'm so excited that you've been here with me. Remember, each day that you show up, you're creating a better version of yourself, a more consistent version of yourself. You're creating a more self-sufficient version of yourself and a more self-confident version of yourself. Consistency is your key. It's your superpower. If you can be consistent, it will overshadow motivation every single time. Come on, let's be consistent. Hey, thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode on my 100-day walk to consistency and health. We are on day 80, and we'll see you tomorrow on day 81. I'll see you on the walk.